Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in again. This week, I have a special guest who's so pretty, so cute, so funny, makes me scream, laugh out loud. We can have the most intense conversations and then talk about how we are not quite like Robin, but maybe like Robin, but maybe not like Robin. In other words, I'm saying we can have the most intense conversations and then go to talking about swallowing and whatever else is going on in the reality TV / Bravo / real world streets. Y'all know her. Y'all love her. If you don't, y'all will love her. Noor from the Reality Is podcast. Hey, boo.
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
Listen,
Your whole look and your sexy background, I'm just like, okay, luxury.
listen. We have a beautiful fireplace from Amazon that doesn't spit fire, but you know what's funny? It changes colors and there is a heat component. So
Yeah.
we hit a button and I was like, this is so cool.
We have one downstairs too. We
Yes.
did that last year.
Isn't
and
it so
the best?
It's so gorgeous. So we want to do one for our bedroom upstairs
Mhm.
too. He wants to do that on the wall. So I was doing it behind what is it called? A wall that he did. Like, what is it called when you decorate a wall specifically? Accent wall.
Accent wall.
But then I was like, well, if I'm gonna do YouTube, maybe I can. And then he was like, well, maybe in front of the fireplace. And then I said, but what if you're watching TV? And he was like, well, I can watch TV in another room or whatever. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so you should literally see me picking up a chair because this is the TV clearly. So chairs are on the other side. But I could all that and I could have just said, thank you, Noor. Why do
You're
we feel like
welcome.
we always gotta sometimes I feel like I can explain.
Yeah, you have to explain yourself. Like whenever somebody compliments me, I'm like, well, here's the thing. I'm a piece of shit. And instead of just being like, thanks, I'm like,
Thank you.
no, I'm gutter trash. I'm a rat bastard. I'm hideous. You're so kind. Like, it's like people are like, I just want to, or like if someone's like, I like your outfit, I'm like, it's so cheap.
It was $2.
It's $2
Yeah.
and it's from Amazon. I'm killing the earth. They're like, you could have just said thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. If
Right.
someone's like, it's like somebody recently asked me, so I was at a birthday party for my kid, like one of my kids' friends. And the grandma that was there kept trying to convince me, which was like, she was like an older immigrant woman, so I wasn't offended. She kept trying to convince me to have a third child because she wanted me to have a girl. And I was like, listen, I'm not young. Like, because the mom whose kid's birthday was, she's a young mom.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm not young like your daughter. Like, and she was like, no, that's not true. Like, how? She was like, she goes to me, it's okay. I had my kid. She goes, I had my children at 28 and 30. So you're still young. And I was like, I'm not that young. I'm much older than that. And then she was like, oh my God, I'm so impressed. Like, you don't look that old, whatever. And she was like, what do you do? Like, how do you look this? How do you look like this? I could have just said genetics. Like, my mom looked pretty young or whatever, right? Instead, I was like, here's my skincare routine. I was like, and I pay for Botox. And she was like, oh, like this old lady just wanted me to be like, oh, thank you, grandma. Like,
Grandma,
and move
yeah,
on.
I get it from my mom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, I was just like, let me not accept this and explain all the ways that I'm not deserving of your compliment. And instead, like, I need to do 50 other things to like prove myself. It's so weird. I don't know why we do this.
And I was going to say, do you think it is a minority thing or actually it's a woman? I think a lot of women probably do that.
Yeah, I think it's
a women
because,
thing.
yeah, I think I think it's a woman thing, but when you're a minority, I think it's even more because essentially women and also then other marginalized groups of people have been made to feel like they're taking up space and they're not deserving of the space that they have. They're not deserving of the compliments. They're not deserving of praise. So then when we get praise, we have to like justify or like prove to them that like no, I actually don't deserve this. Like I should be invisible here in the corner. Like it's this weird thing that we do. And like I have raised my kids not to be that way.
Yep.
You know, like I try to tell my kids like, no, you're beautiful and you're wonderful and you're smart and you're handsome, like all these things to my kids. Like I always tell them like what, and they do it to me. I'll be like, I love you, like you're so smart and you're so great, and they'll sometimes backhanded, like, respond to themselves. Like, so they'll be like, yeah, but I'm not the smartest kid in the class. I'm not, whatever. Or like, I used to be cuter when I was a baby. Like, they'll say stuff like that. And I'm like,
Oh,
no, you're perfect at every age. But then I do the exact same thing.
same
So like,
thing.
of course, they
Yep.
just do what their parents do, you know? Like my
Yep.
husband can never, you think I can't receive a compliment? I'm a Virgo. So to be, truth be told, I love compliments. But I'm also an August Virgo, which is like a Leo Virgo cusp, and we're monsters.
I was going to say that's different from the September list making. You can do it your way, but your way needs to be my way on my list.
Virgos in August have the attitude and ego of Leo. And so it's a problem. As I say about myself, my husband is on the Libra Virgo cusp in September. So he's like, just like the most like he's just like introverted and to himself
And
and like
uncomfortable
organized
with.
and uncomfortable, deeply uncomfortable with anything. Like sometimes I just look at him and I'm like, oh, you're so handsome. And he'd be like, ooh, stop looking at me.
Let me tell you, mine is a Sagittarius, and I have received so much, like when I first started this podcast and said it's Sagittarius, and people literally read Sagittarius men to filth. I think it is so funny, and I always say that about him. But I recently felt completely read, and I'm shouting out my boo Ify. Hey Ify. So we were in. I went to my DMs, and I just told her when I was born. I was
Okay.
like, she knows I'm an Aries, a fire
Yeah,
sign. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
4-4. I was like, 4-4, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
She decides to read me through astrology. And when I mean read, I don't mean read a chart. I mean to filth her and
Okay.
astrology. She said, hold on, this is hilarious. Oh, okay. So she said I'm an Aries, of course, but then I have a Libra moon, and I was born during a full moon.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I almost felt like I was turning like the werewolf. Like I could feel it in my spirit because I think that's what happens. So I told her time I was born, and when I found out exactly what was going on, I text her back. I don't know if I should be mad at you or not. I just did a quick search of Aries Sun, Libra Moon woman, and I feel red to filth. Thank you very much. And some of the things that it was saying was not, I mean, I just had to take a minute because I would have like self-fulfilled everything that it said. So I was like,
Yeah.
let me take a deep breath and not let this fire consume me and everyone around it. But I did learn that. I was like, it don't matter. I'm still. And
Yeah.
Aries is the first. For those that believe in zodiacs, if you are thankful that you have a zodiac, you're welcome because we were first. Okay.
All right.
Moving on. Noor, how
Yeah.
have you been? I know. Oh, by the way, guys, if you didn't know, I was just on the Reality Is podcast. So if you want to pause this one and go check us out, this is a part two, but not a part two, but kind of a part two, like a continuation. So we had a good old chat over there. But now you're over here. So
Mhm.
how are you? How have you been? And how are you feeling about what reality TV as a whole is giving us right now?
Okay, I'm gonna go backwards. Reality TV is giving us as a whole right now is just the cozy warmth of like wintertime, like exactly what I need. Like people watch The Holiday. I don't need to watch The Holiday. I could just watch reality TV because it's just so good right now. Like I know people are mad at Potomac, but like I still love watching the shit out of Potomac. Like
I
I
get it.
love like Beverly Hills and Salt Lake City are doing things that like they have really been missing for a long time. And I have an idea about why it's so good, and we could talk
Oh,
about it
good.
later. But
Okay.
I love reality TV right now. I think it's so good. You know, if I haven't started Ultimate Girls Trip yet because of the Ramona factor, I don't give a fuck about this lady. I do think that watching her make a fool of herself is always fun. So
Yeah,
that's like one of the reasons I'm gonna watch it. But you know, I also think like New York is the original well, they all are. Housewives is white ladies making a fool of themselves, right? Like that's why we all started watching to begin with, right? It's like the delusion of these ladies who
Yeah.
think that they're bigger than they are, thinking that they are invincible, thinking
Yep.
that they are impenetrable, and actually just looking like the biggest idiots. Like there is something, it's like a microcosm of a Karen getting her comeuppance every single
Yes.
season. And I think that that's why I love Housewives. And right now on television, we are watching that happen on Salt Lake City and on Beverly Hills, and that's why and honestly even Miami.
Yeah.
It's just so fun. I'm having such a good time there. And other than that, I'm doing great, Taria. As I was telling you before we started recording, is I was cleaning my backyard. So I know that I'm in the midst, I like in this because like I have chronic depression and anxiety, but I can tell that I'm about to get into a spiral in the wintertime when I start manic cleaning my home.
Okay.
I purged, there's 6 giant, like the black hefty bags,
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah.
hefty bags full of clothes and shoes and jackets and things that I'm going to donate next week.
Oh, okay.
So I've just been like cleaning my house. And I feel like, again, this is like my Virgo trait is like I'm cleaning my house and it's making me feel it's like exactly what I need to beat the wintertime depression. I'm like
That's what I was going to
channeling
ask.
my like spiral into something useful. So it's going to make me feel good. Like when I hit low, which I will because I'm aware of my own mental health patterns, I'll be like, well, at least my house is clean.
Okay. Oh,
I'm gonna
so
light a can. I know where the candles are. I'm gonna light them. My
okay.
closet is clean, like stuff is organized. So like then when I feel like I just want to rot in bed for 2 days, it's like my house is clean and it smells good and everything is organized. So that's what's up with me.
Okay. I was going to ask you, because I never considered that when people get into when they know something
Yeah.
is coming on, or so that's kind of your plan on how to deal with it. Like, how did you come to that realization on your own, or were you in therapy and the therapist said, well, kind of put some things in place? Like, how did you come to that realization? Like, okay, I'm aware that it's going to happen, so I'm going to put some measures in place so that when it happens, I won't go as far or feel even worse about myself.
So I think that it's been a 38 years of existence and like in progress. Therapy has helped, medication has helped. And I think that like just being so much more aware of like my own brain and like
Mhm.
it almost becomes like a superpower when you learn how to like channel um your your energy in a different way. Like I
Okay.
just and the thing is like as a mom, like this, as a parent, even when you're depressed, like life still goes on. You still have to do life things. You still have to take care of your kids. They still need to be fed 3 to 5 fucking times a day. They're always hungry. I have boys, so they're like
And
the
that does
not
not change. This 21-year-old is coming in, leaving tonight and coming in tomorrow morning. I'm already in my mind calculating what the grocery bill is going to be like the next couple of weeks that he's home.
like so the 9-year-old, he's almost 10. He'll be 10 in March, and like we are already at that point where he's just like, "Ah, I gotta eat. I'm hungry again." I'm
Oh,
like, no,
oh yes.
like and he doesn't eat a lot of food, like a lot of different kinds of food, so whatever is made he will eat it and he will eat like 3 plates of it. I'm like, you gotta
Yes.
get the fuck up off the table, like I can't keep feeding you. I love you, like I'm so happy. And he's like active, so he is just different. But anyway,
Yeah.
you still have to parent
Yeah.
even when you're depressed. So I think that that's been sort of my way of channeling it. And my anxiety has in my life always channeled into being hyper organized. And so
Okay.
I've been able to sort of take the anxiety that's coming up before I'm getting into depression. I've channeled that anxiety into doing things to prep myself for the depression, right? So
Okay.
then that way, because otherwise, if I'm just anxious about the fact that I'm going to be depressed and then I sort of just give up, which is what I used to do before, just give up. And then I get into the depression anyway. And then I'm like, okay, I'm depressed and my house is in squalor. Like this feels like
Right.
shit. Like then you never pull yourself out of it. And I want to
Okay.
say again, this is like 6 years of consistent therapy, and I've been medicated for a little while now. So like, please, it's not just like I woke up one day and figured this out. It's a lot of work.
I appreciate you talking about this because you've talked about this before. We've had personal conversations. You've
Yeah.
talked about it on your podcast. And I appreciated that because in our communities, we don't talk about it enough.
No.
And then when you look at like Black women and women of color and our rate of dying from heart disease and stress, you have to factor in the fact that we are not told, hey, you may be depressed. It's say a prayer and just light the candle, not anything else, and keep it moving. And I had said to someone one time, they were talking about taking medicine and all of this other stuff. And I said, so do you take your allergy medicine consistently? Why not just pray every morning before you take your allergy medicine, hope it goes away? Or maybe you can, I don't know, incorporate both. Take your allergy medicine and pray. And maybe one day you won't need it anymore, or maybe you'll need it for the rest of your life. But you wouldn't just stop taking that medicine in the middle of an asthma attack. You're probably gonna be praying as you're reaching for your pump. You're not just, so I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing this and giving us coping mechanisms because I don't, or giving us what you do. And who knows, maybe some of us can incorporate those things because I don't, as I'm getting older, I know I feel like sometimes I look around and I'll say, like, sometimes older Black people will be like, oh, your body's in pain, but that's just how it is. Oh, so and so, they just a little bit off. And it's like,
Yeah.
there's, I want to do everything I can to make sure I'm good on this side. Yes, things happen. Yes, people get sick. Yes, people may have to deal with things. But if I can on my end help that, so I feel like more of us do need to speak about it. Like I've been talking about, like for the last year, girl, I never. You couldn't tell me I didn't get. I could tell you stressed, girl. No, I don't get stressed. I
Mhm.
don't know why. I just don't. I don't know why. I just don't. Exercise helps. I just don't. And I would have never thought that I would be dealing with now what I know is anxious moments, almost being like me literally having to stop and literally
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
opposed to calm myself down. I'm like, and so then I'm like, where is this coming from? I've never been like this. And then like thinking back years in my mind, like, oh, it's been there.
Mhm.
You've just been shoving it down. I remember when Mariah Carey went to the hospital for exhaustion, and my grandma was like, exhaustion? Like, girl, what? Because those things don't happen in our communities. You get up, you take care of your kids, you go to work, you take care of your husband, and you're last.
Yeah, you're last. And so because you're last, you don't take moments to do any self-reflection or any self-awareness of how, like, you might be aware of how you should interact with people, but you're never aware of how you should treat yourself. And
Mm,
like, I think that like it's such a big point. You were saying like you have to also, you can't just pray it away. I think you and I talked about this when we were hanging out in
yes.
September a little while ago. And like, um, in Islam or in Arabic tradition or Arab tradition, we call it tying your camel. So like the idea is that you have to like it's a proverb sort of, and it goes back to the idea that like, yeah, you have to also you don't just leave it to God. You also have to tie your camel. Otherwise your camel will go away. Like you so like this whole thing of like, I'm just going to pray on it. Like, no, God, like it's so funny. My kids are right now in Sunday school. And I was just on my way, like when I was dropping them off, one of the things we were talking about was I said to them, one of the biggest gifts, the greatest gift that you have from God is your brain. Like that is
Mm.
God's biggest blessing to you is your brain. And God wants you to feed your brain and nourish your brain and make it bigger and make it smarter and make it better. Like that is your greatest gift from God. And so this whole idea that we have of like our culturally speaking, right, in Black and brown communities of like, oh no, I'm just going to pray on it. But like, I don't trust modern medicine. It's like, why? Why don't you? My mom is like this. My mom is, she just had a procedure on her knee. It was like a minor procedure. She's fine. And I was like, she was like, I'm in so much pain. I'm like, did you take the medication they
Right.
gave you afterwards in recovery? And she's like, no, I just like don't like the way it makes me feel. And I'm like, why? And she goes, it just makes me so tired. And like, I can't do anything around the house. I'm like, lady,
You're not
you're not doing anything around the house anyway because your leg's in pain. So like, what are you talking about? But it's this whole thing, right? It's like, and again, I always want to preface this by saying Black and brown people have a very bad history with medicine
Yes.
and distrust of government and distrust of organizations that I understand. I'm not trying to like dismiss that, but like we're all doctors and lawyers and like scientists now. Like it's not like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like we're involved in the creation of like modern medicine. So like we can't blame that anymore, you know? And yeah, it's this whole like my mom, you know, even when it comes to like I remember PMS when I was like a teenager. My mom was like, I don't know what you mean by this PMS. I don't PMS. I don't know what PMS. This is like an American thing. And I'm like, bitch, you think that you don't.
We know that you do.
We know you do. And it goes to that thing of they're so aware of like all the responsibilities and all the things and everything that they don't actually do any introspection to be like, shit, I am a monster right now. Like when I'm yelling at my kid, there's times when when my kids just says the slightest thing, and you know, the beast rises from within.
Yeah. From
And
your
a voice,
feet. It starts from your feet.
yeah. And a voice comes out of your mouth, and in your mind, you go, I didn't even know that I could yell like that.
Yes. Yes.
When that happens, I immediately go to my phone. I'm like, oh, yep, periods in 7 days. Like I know because I'm aware of how I'm treating my kids. My mom, again, older generations, they were so busy just trying to put a roof over our houses and feed us and get us educated that they didn't have time to be like, what is the emotional damage I'm doing to my children?
To my kids. Right. Will we repeat this cycle after cycle and then just say, yes, we're family.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you literally just, we weren't speaking for days and now we're just family. What's everyone bringing for Christmas, Thanksgiving, all of that stuff. It's like, no, I don't even want, like, no. I remember it's so funny being born. Look, now I'm taking everything back. It's because I was born under a full moon. No. So to be clear, y'all, we know some of it, y'all are just, but some of it, sometimes we could just be straight up in the wrong and nasty and we can't attribute it to our sign. But I do think some of it, there is some to it. So when I think of how you said you feel the voice rising up, I literally feel like a werewolf. And that when you catch it, I can stop it. So my family, or with it being me and Corey most of the time in the house now, he doesn't get the brunt of it. It could be like nothing. And then the moon is switched. And I'm telling you, my body's like, and I'm like, calm down. Don't let it, because if it comes out for no apparent reason other than, I told somebody, my girlfriend was like, you can take I went to a girls' night in I told you I was going to my girlfriend's house, and a few of us were there, and it was really fun. And I'm not a game person. I know everybody's different, y'all. And clearly I have a podcast, so it makes sense. My idea of a girls' night fun is, let's get some drinks. We're laughing. We're talking. We may be talking about world things going on. Girl, did your process change when you were in your or whatever, but not playing games. Game night gives me an attitude immediately. Now, when I get there, I have fun. My girlfriend who playing this has done game nights for years. I've said this to her, like, oh yeah, I'm not really into games. One day she overheard me having a conversation, and she goes, she'll probably hear this and she'll probably laugh and send me a text. Hey, Trina. Hey, Boo. She's amazing, by the way. But she goes, so those game nights I'm planning, you don't like? And I was like, no. But I don't complain because I know, number one, when I get there, I'll have fun. Number two, I know she does things that would do things with me that I wouldn't necessarily want to do. But we get there. So the game night was really, really fun. She does an amazing job. And we were all talking and about different signs, whatever, and talking about Aries. And there was another woman there. Her birthday was April 4th. April 1st. Mine is April 4th. And she was like, I can take a lot. And I said, see, that's the thing. I had other friends that stuff would happen and they would look at me and go, girl, it couldn't be me. I just have a high threshold. Mm-hmm. But if the werewolf is released, and there's not been a whole lot of times, but there's been a few times that, because I know the destructive damage. And so I told them all, I know there's a rage simmering beneath the surface. If it gets out, there's things that you can't take back. And I can feel sometimes wanting to be like, I was in traffic. I'm fine in traffic. I don't get in a rage, but this lady, literally, we were waiting for a train to pass. So then we kind of avoided it, and there was like an underpass. Okay, so we
Uh-huh.
could all kind of turn around. Everybody one by one give each other space. She cuts in front of me and then rolls down her window. And it was like within 30 seconds. Oh, I told Corey, I saw my water bottle and just crashing it and shattering the side of her windshield. And then I would have felt so much better. I had it in my hand, but I was
You're
conscious
shaking
and
your head like, it's
cognizant
like,
enough.
stop
As
it.
I'm like driving, I had the water bottle right there and I could see it. I have a good arm. It would have been, I would have shattered her driver's side window. But Taria, then if she got your tag, if somebody else saw it, or if nobody saw it, but karma,
Yeah.
Jesus sees you, he gonna get you, you know? So then I'm driving down the road and my whole engine fall out. And I'm like, why did that happen? So I was able to comment. And like, there's been other times when I've been right there. So we were joking, like she was saying how, yeah, you could take a lot, but if something happens, but there's very few times that I let, like the head may peek out like, bloop, oh, let's pop that back in. But if I let the whole, and my grandmother, April 14th was like that too. Once she got there, it was, you know.
Well, I was not, I believe, born on a full moon, but I am my father's daughter,
Okay,
which is
see,
why I have rage
see,
issues.
I could just pick up, like, it's been rare. I have thrown things before. Corey doesn't know. Like it's like if I've been home by myself, just destroying something that we may not necessarily need, or destroying trash that's already destroyed. But it just feels so good. That's why I said I should do a rage room, because I would probably tear everything up in there. Ma'am, that's not included.
So you're saying this, like literally, that is why I purged my house this weekend. And I said, if my kids fuck around, I'll purge them too. Like they're going in the trash next. I'll donate your ass.
Yes,
Get out of my way.
right. Like move. So
Yeah.
it's nice when you talk to other women that have the same feelings, because sometimes you think is it me? Am I the problem? Now I may be the problem, but I'm sure there's other women that's the problem too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is it
Yeah.
just me that is driving? And then I just get irrationally, like yesterday, I wanted to start crying simply because I picked up a passenger, and from the moment he got in the car, and we've talked about this, you know, I don't like to have conversation. Hey girl, how you doing today? I said, I am good. My other driver pulled up. Then I came down the steps and he was waving to me, and he was in a little red car. And then he took off. And I was thinking, I wish I had pulled off too. But I don't do that. I wait your whole 5-minute countdown. Then I call your phone. You better pick up. I let it ring once. You better pick up on that first, because I shouldn't have to call you. He talked to me the entire 16 and a half, roughly, minute drive. And I had to pray, because I literally was gritting, like I was angry. Why are you like, what? I didn't prompt the conversation with you at all.
No.
But then halfway through, as I was praying in my mind, I said, maybe he just needs someone. And he ended up talking about how he moved from California. He has an adopted family. The adopted family's in Orlando, his real family here. Not real family, his biological family. He talks to them, but he's not as close to them as his family in Orlando. And sometimes it gets lonely. He was like, you know, I've worked hard. I got my own place now, but sometimes it gets really lonely. And so it's just like,
I get
okay.
it. But
So
like, shut the fuck up.
yeah. It was like physically hurting me. A person that clearly loves to have a conversation. Hello. But this is like, I feel like that's invading my space,
Mhm.
because for a person who does like to talk, we know we host podcasts. We
Mhm.
talk, we have in-depth emotional conversations,
Mhm.
and that exerts a lot of energy. And I feel like I'm one of those people that recharge by myself. Like people wouldn't know it. I do like to be quiet. I do like to just sit. Sometimes I like to just sit and look at the wall and say nothing. I'm not mad. I'm not, that's just me
Yeah.
recharging. So when you put your conversation on me, it's an invasion of my space that I did not ask for. But I'm learning also, again, he literally got out of the car saying it's lonely. And I thought about how I have Corey here. And after
Mhm.
22 years, we still like talking to each other. And
Yeah.
then my kids are going to be here and it's going to be, everybody's going to be home again. And then my parents are coming over. So it's not going to be lonely for me while he's now literally trying to figure out what he's going to do for Christmas.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I get it, but like,
Shut
shut the fuck up. I feel that way about my kids. I love my kids. I
Yeah.
love when they talk to me. But like on a Friday night when it's been a whole week and I'm tired and I'm like looking forward to the weekend, and my little one Noah, he comes in and like digs his hands into my back and like wants to cuddle with me and be like, "Mama, mama." And then I'm like, "Oh my God, please don't." Just I'm so overwhelmed, but that's also just like being a mom, I feel like,
I, yeah. And being a human, knowing that,
people depend on you.
yes. And it's
Yeah.
like, if I don't, it is my responsibility. I've said it before on this podcast and I'll say it again. I have another girlfriend. We were talking about motherhood and she has two girls and a boy. And it's the same way, boy's a middle child. Hers were all just a little bit older than mine. And she told me one day, and I'm just going to say it exactly how she said it. She said, you can't worry about they're going to become doctors, lawyers, this, that. You can't. Your job is to not raise an asshole that you then unleash into the world.
Yep. Yep.
And I was
That's
like, if that's the least of it, you are exactly right.
yeah. Yesterday we went out to dinner with my in-laws, and we will eventually, by the way, talk about Bravo.
Yes, we're going to get there because we're going to pivot right there. Oh my God.
When we were out to dinner with my in-laws, and on the way there, the kids had swim yesterday, whatever. The 6-year-old Noah, he fell asleep in the car. So when we got to the restaurant, he was like a little bit cranky or whatever, like how they are.
Yes, yes.
So I was just looking at, I'm a mama. So I was just staring at him to like get it together, because I don't have to use my words. I could just look at him. He goes, "What?" I was just like, and then he was like, "What?" And he got really loud. I was like, "What?" And I was like, "You better not talk to me that way. You know what? You better not talk to me that way." And my 9-year-old goes, "Noah, we're in public. Think about it." Me and my husband had to hold back our laughter, but then
Right.
in bed we were cracking up. My husband goes, "I'm so proud of him." Like, he's like, "You know me." He's like, "I'll use my inside voice even if I'm inside of my own house." Like,
What?
he's just like my husband's such an introvert. So like it was just so funny. He was like, "I'm just so proud of Aiden for being like, please control yourself.
Get yourself together.
Get yourself together." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Like, you've learned the lesson
You've learned not to be an asshole in public. I'm so proud of you."
and affect other people. Because I used to
Yeah.
teach my kids, your actions always affect somebody else. So you
Yeah.
forgetting your instrument at school and you calling me to bring it affects me because I could be, I may have to stop working, earning money,
Yeah.
doing what I'm doing to bring it to you.
Yeah.
So we used to have this. So that's so true. Speaking of assholes in society, what do you think about Beverly Hills?
Oh my God, I love it so much. So this is why I think Beverly Hills is so good right now. In the last few seasons, we had this issue with Beverly Hills where we have this other bigger problem, right? Whether the biggest problem is Erica, right? We have this
Yes.
big problem of Erica Jane / Girardi and all her bullshit and all this stuff and the lawsuits and all these things. And rather than talking about that, we always pivoted to some other bullshit like, "Oh, but you said this that way. And why do you look so sad?" And Crystal was talking shit and blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
it was all these other distractions. And it's like, no, you guys all should be grilling Erica about what the fuck is going on in her life.
Period.
And this season, why I love it is because we are actually talking about the biggest fish that we all have to fry. Like, we're not skirting around this issue anymore. And I think that I'm two ways about Kyle, which is crazy. I have been a lifelong Kyle hater. Okay. I do not defend Kyle Richards Umansky ever.
Same.
Okay. I don't like her. I think she's annoying. I think she's a shit stir. I think she's phony. I think that she is a snake. Okay. She is a sniper on the side. But
Yes.
this season, I think that she's doing two things. I think that she wants the women to talk about it because she's so unhappy. I think that she wants them to talk
Me
about it.
too.
So when she does all those things of being like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what do
Say
you
it.
mean, my band? Like,
Say it.
say, yeah, like, look, I'm wearing this necklace. Do you want to talk
Yes.
about this necklace? Like, what is
Yes.
this? Like, it's like you just want somebody to be like, hey, are you fucking a lady? Like, you just want them to say it, but you're not actually saying it, you know? And I think that for sure she is pissed off about her husband. She
Yeah.
hates that man. I don't know what he did, but she fucking hates him. And any woman who hates their husband, I'm gonna be on their side because like you as a person in a marriage have the right to dislike your spouse and then want to leave it. Like I think that everybody has the right to
Yeah.
do that, especially after years and years and years of your husband being a philanderer. And then add on top of it this like very moving scene this episode of her at
Ooh.
therapy talking
Yeah.
about her best friend losing her best friend of her entire life,
Yeah.
who seemed like such a happy person, and that person taking their own life. That I think fucks you up because, like we were talking, we're going to wrap this into what we were talking about earlier. Women don't focus on themselves. They worry
Right.
about everybody else. They don't actually think about how they are doing internally. And so for this woman for Kyle to be like, I thought my best friend had it together. I thought that she was happy. I thought that she was healthy. Everything looked so good. I still can't believe that she died the way that she did. I think it makes you reset your life and go,
Yeah.
am I actually taking care of myself? Am I actually being honest with myself? Am I actually genuinely happy? And I think Kyle is approaching empty nest. I think she's
Mhm.
starting to realize that her husband does not emotionally fulfill
Fulfill
her.
her. Know that.
Know that. And now she knows that.
And yeah, yeah.
And so I think it's like she's doing all the things to make her life better. That being said, her and Sutton are playing the exact same game with each other. They're
Y-
both making accusations about the other person, but that they're not blatantly saying the accusation that they're making about the other person.
What you said about Kyle was so true. And then to add a layer to it, this is someone you've known since the seventh grade, and you're now over 50. So clearly over half your life.
Yeah.
And for you to be that close, you have to wonder not only, of course, like, I wonder if if there's some self blame, like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I was close to her. How did I not
Yep.
see
Mhm.
this? And I wonder if there's some of that. But women, we're good at hiding,
Mhm.
not even hiding, we're
Compartmentalizing.
compartmentalizing. So that scene with her therapist, like her safe space is gone.
Yeah.
People feel like that person was her safe space about everything, because you can't talk to everybody, whether you're married or have a partner. You can't talk to everybody about those intimate things because, when you look at, people say you shouldn't talk to anybody about your marriage. I don't believe in that, because I
No.
believe that sometimes you just need to know that other people are going through the same thing, and
Yeah.
sometimes it takes another eye to maybe show you some things. But here her best friend was her safe space for everything. When she mentioned her sisters,
Yep.
so it's like she lost her sisters, she lost her friend, and now possibly losing her marriage. So she lost all that within a year
Mhm.
time. That piece of me, so she had a piece of me there. And then everything else, I still feel the same way I've always felt about her. And when you said she wants people to talk about it, I even felt like, down to, they read these comments. She's in the comments sometimes, because one time
Yeah.
I commented, I never tagged her, but I literally said, it was Crystal's first season, and Crystal was making them drinks, and Kyle was walking around barefoot, and then climbed up on that table and walked her dirty feet across the table. And I said, my ancestors would have sat up and slapped me. She commented, laughing faces, how did you even find this? So clearly we know that they read the comments, right?
Yeah.
I feel like people have been talking about, what's Kyle's storyline? All she does is this. All she does is that. So it's almost like a 2-for-1. She gets the ladies to talk about her, and she is basically the center of this season. And I don't even think she necessarily minds the speculation because you wouldn't keep pushing it. You'd be trying to shut it down like she did with
Mhm.
LVP in those magazines all those years ago.
Yeah.
Now
Mhm.
she's saying, say it or talk
Mhm.
about it. Or like that necklace comment really stood out to me when she was like, oh, are they going to say, yeah, he has another family or maybe I do. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you are okay with being in the hot seat because it's you in the hot seat, but actually Mo. So by extension, you. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
So and like you said, they're playing the same exact game. I don't listen. I need to be very clear about something as if I haven't been before. There is something about Sutton I cannot stand. However, I can say when she's right. And I believe that it's her privilege not I believe, I know since her first season when she shut down. Yes, I know y'all are tired of me saying it. When she shut down a conversation um, that had nothing to do with her about race. I get it. They've all moved on. They've all moved on. I understand that.
Not
But
me.
because to me, that told me who she is in her core. And I don't need y'all coming to me saying, but she's friends with Garcelle. She's friends with Crystal. Crystal and Garcelle aren't naive. You can be friends and still know deep down, child, this is not a person that's coming to the rally for me. So let's be clear. This is
Yeah.
not a person and she can wear a sweatshirt about Lives Matter all she wants. We had somebody, shout out, not even shout out to the lady, I'm not even going to say your name, that is on the morning show that plays Reese Witherspoon's girlfriend on the morning show, just had a whole lot to say about Black folks and then said, I even posted a Black square. So they can do those things and support our communities. And still, when it comes down to
Yeah.
it,
You're
so
not gonna say it, but I'll just allude to it. It's Schmurliana dumb fuckerlies.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes. And then want to come back with an apology. No, girl, you meant it. You meant it. So interesting. There's not a lot of people. Okay. Anyway,
Anyway,
so let me shut up. Got
we
the
need
whole.
another hour for
Yeah,
that.
we would need a whole nother hour for that. But interestingly enough, she's on the same show that lead girl, Jen Aniston girl. Anyway, back to what we were saying. But with Sutton, but I can still see when she's in the right and when she's not. But I also see that little privileged white lady coming through when she stop yelling at me. I'm not yelling at you. Oh, I'm sorry. Or I'm sorry I'm yelling at you. Even though AnneMarie, I definitely don't say it for you. But
Yeah.
even when she was like, I'm sorry I'm yelling. Well, then stop yelling at me. Everything Kyle said that's mean. And it's something about that verbiage that they use. And it's like a dog whistle to me. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't stand it. Again, I can see when Sutton is right. And I can see what Kyle is trying to allude with her. And I think Kyle is 100% like, that's not cool. AnneMarie, 100% not cool what she's doing. But also, I can see what you're doing as well. And let me tell you, Garcelle has rarely had, I mean, Sutton, when you go back and look, really doesn't have Garcelle's back like that, like Garcelle has hers, because she tried to throw Garcelle under that bus quick when Kyle was like, well, you were speculating about my ring. And she was like, Garcelle said it.
Yes.
And Kyle was like, Garcelle said it because of something that you said to her. And she was
Yeah.
like, well,
Yeah.
let's go get Garcelle. I was like, and Sutton apologized in the press last year about not having Garcelle's back. She does not have Garcelle's back. I don't care what anyone says. I do believe they're real friends. I believe it started out as convenience and an alliance because they were both new. And I do believe it's turned into whatever it's capable of being.
Yeah, and I think like Crystal is really honest with her relationship with Sutton,
Yeah.
right? Because she's like, yeah, that's just like how Sutton is. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that I think she's weird. Like, she does quirky things. She's over the top. She has a meltdown, but like, that's just who this lady is. And it's your
Yes.
choice if you want to continue to be friends with her. I think that
Yeah.
like Crystal has like a very mature idea of like,
Yes.
okay, I know that I can't be on the other side of this team because they're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to align myself with Sutton and Garcelle, because that's the team that I want to like align myself with. But I'm not signing up for every single thing that Sutton is doing. Like,
Yes.
she's not signing up for Sutton. Like, that's why at the dinner, she was like, you guys are doing the same thing to each other. Like, you're both
Yes.
accusing each other of being alcoholics without saying that you're alcoholics,
Yes.
Like, you're both accusing each other of having something else going on and then not being honest about what's actually going on.
Yeah.
But that's also the beauty of this like white on white lady crime. I enjoy it. You know, like I love the delusion. I love that they both think that they're so smart and like they have totally have it figured out. And it's just so silly because it's like you're both so bad at this, but like this is why it's so entertaining to watch because you're both wrong and that's lovely. Like, can we talk about AnneMarie though?
Girl, let's go. Because let me tell you something. Her watching her, I wanted to be like sis, and I was like, I'm not going to use that term with you. I'm just not. Lady, you are down bad. Like,
The way she talks about her marriage, and she's like, my husband told me he gave you a solid B on everything.
across the board. So you're barely above average on everything except your body. Except your body.
It's a weird thing to say.
And no one gets to say that to you. I don't care how good looking they are, but let's just go ahead and say it. Out of everybody that would not get to say that, you, sir, you definitely don't get to say it.
We are all God's children, but
Yes.
please.
I can't help but feel like I put myself in her shoes, meaning I was like, okay, if a camera crew was in my house when my kids were small, there are conversations that I do even now that I have with my kids or things that we do at the house that people may say, she's just doing that for TV. But it's like, no, this is like these would be real. And then I also know that you have to provide a level of entertainment.
Sure.
So I was trying to give her a little, in my mind, a little bit of grace because I felt like it was all just so Frosted Flakes because they're great. Like, and maybe it all was real. It just felt so put upon to me. Like, okay, what's going to school today? The bear. Okay. Okay. I'm running upstairs to get purple bear, babe. Okay. And we're going to do that. It just felt, but I understand that just like when they always answer their phone on speakerphone. Okay. We know why, because they have to.
Yeah, of course.
So I just was trying to be like, okay, give her a little grace for that. But it just all felt so disingenuous, like the whole scene to me.
Yeah, it's just a bummer about AnneMarie and Marcellus Wiley because initially I
Oh,
heard like, oh, she's a nurse and she's, whatever, like she's an athlete and he's an athlete and then immediately was like transphobe, like very problematic. Like they've said extremely problem. And then now there's allegations about Marcellus out there. And she said, in this house, we don't believe all women. Like
yeah.
it was really, it's really bad. And it's like, I, and I'm trying not to look at her with
Me
that
too.
lens,
Me too.
but just from jump, if you're going to come on the show and have your entire face inside of Kyle's ass, I'm immediately out. Like, I'm not interested. Cynthia Bailey is actually friends with these people. And she said less at this dinner than this guest. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
like, Sutton was so funny to be like, I don't even know you. What's your last name? You better buy something. Like, why are you asking me about my medical history? And I think that Kyle is so shady because she does this. Did you notice that thing when she opened up the mirror?
Yep. And put that
fixing her lipstick. That's her trying to tell AnneMarie what they should be talking about. She was like, remember the esophagus thing. And AnneMarie's like, oh, okay. And then she goes back to it. And so it was like it was like Kyle is still up to her Kyle bullshit. Like when she's like gonna use somebody to do her bidding, it's like she knows that she can't really get Dorit to do it anymore because Dorit is like not, I don't think Dorit and Kyle are as close as they were before.
I don't think so either.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on there. I have
Because
a feeling.
I don't feel like they're as close.
I have a feeling that she has maybe complained to Dorit about like things that are going on with Mauricio, and Dorit's not giving her the words that she needs. Like Dorit's probably like, oh, husbands, like they're like that. And Mauricio's so great. Mo is so great. Like he does this and he does that. And when sometimes you have that with your girlfriend, you stop leaning on them as much.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Dorit has maybe given her that kind of advice before. And so she's kind of like slowly pushed Dorit out.
I'm done. Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that like Kyle has kind of like is using AnneMarie to do the stuff that she accuses like LVP of doing with New Girls.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
You're doing the same thing, you know?
And that's why I always thought it wasn't LVP. And I don't think Kyle learned from LVP. I think Kyle has
Yeah.
been a TV actress her entire life.
Yes.
She knows how this works. So I definitely, when she pulled that thing, and then AnneMarie just fell right into it. I was like, you just fell into it. And to completely discredit everything that Sutton was saying, she said, do you get treatment for it? No, it is very possible to have a condition and not get treated for it. And when Sutton said, my brother chooses to get his widened, I don't. Did you see Dr. Tiffany Moon respond
Yes.
to it?
Yeah, I did. Here's the thing, like, you can't you can't come in and just like it's obvious, right? She had a conversation with Kyle, and Kyle
Yep.
was like, she was like, Kyle, that doesn't make any sense. Like, whatever she's saying about her esophagus, like, I don't really understand it. I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle was like, yeah, so you should ask her about it. You should
Yeah,
ask her about
because
it. You should,
you're in the medical field. Well,
yeah, you're in the
remember,
medical field.
she
You should
said it
ask her. Yeah.
last week. You know, I'm going to have to ask her about this, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like she set her up to do this like thing. And then on top of that, she didn't really have her back. Like,
At all, just left her out there to dry. I was like, oh, wow.
I was like,
Because if that was
wow.
Sutton and Garcelle would have been like, well, you know,
Yeah,
she would have.
exactly.
But can
Yeah.
I just tell you, I know people say edit, and people say, oh, why is Crystal here? Now, I will say, Crystal, I was the whole Gertie and Larsa thing. That was not cool. Go on
Yeah.
record saying that was not cool because for you to she said on Watch What Happens Live, just a side note, that she doesn't watch the show. She said to Marisol, right, I don't watch the show, so I don't know what's going on. Then how would you? So then what other way? I believe, okay, you don't watch the show. What other way would you have known, or what prompted you to pick up the phone and call Gertie and tell her that Larsa was coming, had not somebody else told you that something was going on, i.e. Larsa? Because if you didn't watch the show and had no clue about what was going on, you wouldn't have had an inkling to call someone to say, oh, I know you're having an issue with this person. So that made me like, that wasn't cool. Even if she had us called Gertie and said, look, I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Larsa called me. I understand that y'all have issues. I just want to give you a heads up. She's here. Not disinvite, because we're all adults. But hey, heads up, Larsa's going to be here. I hope y'all can work it out. But I'll see you when you get here. Right. And I would have had
Yeah.
the same conversation with Larsa. Check this out. Gertie is coming. I had a conversation with her. Y'all are both going to be here. So I don't think outside of that, okay, because I'm giving you the eye on that, Crystal. I do feel like maybe her participation, maybe it hasn't been so big, so they were able to edit it, because from what I hear outside of the show, she's fun, she's funny, she has this commentary like she did last night when the other night when she was, Dorit kept talking and she's like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I do believe that there's more to come. And it's going to be interesting to see AnneMarie activate her. And I also believe that's through Kyle, because I still think Kyle doesn't like
Yep.
the conversations that were being had. And she couldn't go after Garcelle for those conversations because it wouldn't look good to go after the Black lady. So boom, I'm going to go after this woman over here because the audience doesn't care for her anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I think that she's going to use AnneMarie as her little weapon against Crystal. And I think that um I think it's also interesting because like Crystal and Teddy know each other. They're
Yes,
actually
they
friends
do.
with each other. And I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle is like jealous of that relationship too. But yeah, I think she's going to use AnneMarie as like her weapon against Crystal. It's like, oh, these are the two young millennial girls and they're going to go after each other. And then that way it's not like then they can't throw ageism at me and they can't do this at me. Like they can't use that. It's like, oh, they're two people of color and they're going to go at each other. And that way Kyle gets to be out of it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's sort of like her thought process. Cause like you said, Kyle's been on television her whole life. Like she
Yeah.
knows what she's doing on this television show. And let me tell you something, guys. I like what she's doing on this television show. It's a great time. I'm having so much fun watching
Me too.
it.
And I will say this, I'm enjoying Erica and her contributions to the show. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know if we're seeing bits of who she really is. Now that conversation with her mom, I was like, oh, I think that's real. Because it was almost, when she called her and said, Mom, it reminded me of sometimes when I get so excited now as an adult and call my mom, and it's almost like the little girl in me jumps out before
Yeah.
I'm like, Mom, or like I'll text her. And meanwhile, when my kids do that, they'll text mom and then you don't hear anything. It's like, what?
Are you okay? Are
Like,
you
what's
live?
happening? Yeah, I need you to text the full sentence after that. But I enjoyed, I not, yeah, well, yeah, I enjoyed watching her and her mom's dynamic because I felt like that was real. That wasn't an act like, oh, that's a piece of Erica that we're
Yeah.
seeing, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying her commentary with the ladies, and even her looks like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I feel like Erica before she joined forces with Renna and became a monster was like a great time. Like I
Yeah.
liked her when she initially came on. She didn't want to play games with the Munchausen thing. She was like,
Yeah.
you guys all know what you said.
Yeah.
Like I liked Erica. I've always liked Erica as a housewife. I think that she's good. I think that the years that it got funky is when they did the Fox Force 5 thing, which is
Yeah.
what, by the way, Denise Richards was trying to allude to at the dinner. Granted, she was too drunk to say anything. Bless her heart. The medication and the booze was not mixing
Bless her
well.
heart, because she was about. So what is going on?
She
She is
said
the
she had a
base right
sore
now.
throat. I know she was a mess. But like I also like it made me upset because like so many people I know who don't watch Housewives but like are on TikTok because of Vanderpump Rules had been texting me being like, "What's up with Denise Richards?" And I'm like, "Guys, they were terrible to her
Yes, they were.
during
Yeah.
her season. They
And
were so mean to her and then they gaslit her at the table being like, "What show? What show? The show that you guys are filming right now. Are you out of your fucking mind? Like what are you talking
and
about?"
I want to see more of that. Let them break the fourth wall.
Yeah,
Like I want to
exactly.
see more of that.
Exactly. So, but I'm enjoying it. I enjoy everybody. I enjoy that nobody's really taking Dorit seriously about pretty much anything. Dorit being
Anything.
like, Sutton gave me a heads up, so I was able to prepare myself for all these people. Like,
Girl,
please,
when she
please,
said
Sutton.
that, I immediately was like, is she trying to say that because of what allegedly happened,
I can't.
she now
I can't.
can't do public?
I can't. I can't with this lady.
And this bow, granted, I like the bow, but am I going to see it the whole season? It does do something to her. I will admit, I thought about getting a little ponytail with a bow. I was like, okay, I may do a little bow or something, but that is, I don't know. She's just a lot. I need somebody to come in and when she gets on that rant, because it works. For those of you that are watching, I tried it on my cousin before, and she literally was like, "Oh my god," because we both like to talk or whatever. But if you just simply go, you snatch somebody's voice, it will stun them for a minute. And I want Dorit to be in the middle of one of her ramblings, and somebody go, and I
Oh my
bet you
God.
it takes the words right back.
I'm going to try it with my 6-year-old who
Try
won't shut the hell up.
when he's talking, just look at him, snatch it. You got to snatch it back.
Snatch it.
Yes. And I bet you that will catch him off guard and he'll stop.
Here's the thing. He is gonna ask so many follow-up questions and he won't stop.
When I did it to my cousin, she said, girl. We were going around like snatching, but I just want.
You know who they need to do that to? Is they need to do it to Lisa in Miami when she goes on a Lenny rant.
Okay, so let's jump over to Miami. We both agree that we're loving Beverly Hills. I'm looking forward to Beverly Hills, and I can't wait for more of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm side-eyeing AnneMarie. I will say I don't have enough. It's not a dislike yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, I can
Yeah.
already see it's going down that track.
Yeah.
And I guess I already know where I stand with Sutton. So I had to make myself say it's okay to agree with her because you already know where you stand with her. You know, and maybe in person it would be different. I don't think so. I'm going to go by my feeling, but you know,
yeah.
Miami, Lenny,
all the time. Lenny. I get it. It's too much.
I think it's a lot. I get it that she's living this every day, but at the same time, when Kiki said before I went to the bathroom talking about Lenny, I come back from the bathroom, they're talking about Lenny. I was like, and who would have thought, is Alexia being the Alexia of old?
Okay, I need to know what Anthony has on Todd because something is up that has suddenly made Alexia and Marisol
Yes.
change their whole vibe with Nicole. Like, I genuinely think that Anthony has something. First of all, for Todd to do that 7-minute cringe,
Girl, nine. Add an
9 minute
extra 2 minutes.
9
Nine.
minute online like apology, and then the way that they are up Nicole's ass, it just is unlike them. And I
Yes.
genuinely want to know, like, Anthony, what did you find out about Todd and Alexia and Marisol that like you are gonna put them like, because I love it.
Me too.
I love that they are just like, yeah, sorry, like we're just nice people.
And
Like, I'm like,
Marisol having that come on, Nicole, and having a conversation with her. That to
shocking.
me,
I'm like, I need to know. I need to know honestly, maybe I don't need to know. It'll eventually come out, I'm sure. But
yeah.
yeah, I think Alexia is being the Alexia of old. But like, I think the thing with Lenny and Lisa thing is that Lisa doesn't give them any new stuff, right? Like when
Yeah.
stuff happens,
Mm.
like things keep happening, right? And then Lisa goes into the same tirade. How could he do this to the mother of his children? How could he do this to me? How could he do this to me? My home. I'm living a nightmare, like blah, 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 all this stuff. I think that it's the same stuff. It's like when Bethany fuck her, but when Bethany said Sonia always talks about updo smoky eye stod, like
Yes.
that is what's going on with Lenny. It's like a cycle of the same stuff. It's like he and I think that she says like I still cannot believe that this happened to me, because the reality is that if tomorrow Lenny changed his mind and said, you know what, Lisa, let's forget it, let's just go back to being our family, Lisa would say okay,
I think so
because that's
too.
because I think that she's like lost in the past, like I
Mhm.
think that she's just like not fully accepting of like where her life is going. I think
Yeah.
she put all her eggs into this like basket of this family, which I understand a lot of women that go through divorce have a hard time
Yeah.
dealing with that and dealing with that change. And I understand that completely, have a lot of empathy and sympathy for her about that. But like, I think the girls are tired of it because they're like, you don't, we're on this hamster wheel and we want off the ride. And I get it.
There's no new information. Even the way Gertie, the side shots of the way she was holding her head, the way she was looking, I was like, it is eating her up inside to not say anything. And it made, when she was in the confessional and she didn't say it dramatically, and that's what made it funny to me when she was like, "Does anyone have a tweezer? Because I want to pull my eyelashes out one by one."
Because it's
And
too
Kiki,
much.
it was so funny. So now I see where the energy between Kiki and Lisa come from, because at BravoCon on that Miami panel, honey, they were all talking, and then Kiki and Lisa were like, "Rah, rah, rah." It was a lot. And Kiki was like, last season you didn't get to see me talk. A lot of people kept cutting me off, and I felt like, hey, like I have a voice. She was like, not this season. And then Lisa was saying something, and she was like, I wasn't talking to you. And Lisa was like, you better. I mean, it was back and forth at BravoCon, and I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. Now
Yeah.
watching the show, I'm like, oh, and the fact that they were still going at it on that BravoCon stage, I literally was like, Kiki wasn't having it, and Lisa wasn't backing down.
Yeah, and I think it's probably just like I think ultimately they both deeply love each other. I think
Yeah,
that Lisa is looking for Kiki to put up with it, and Kiki is looking for Lisa to do better for herself. And I think that they're both housewives, like, or Kiki's a friend of, but like they're both reality TV stars with
yeah,
massive egos and probably narcissists. So they just have a hard time of like seeing the best that they want for each other. I don't think that they have an animosity like, say, Marisol and Adriana,
yes,
but I think that they're more just like two people who want. I think Lisa wants everybody's role in her life to stay exactly the same, but that's not the reality that we live in, Lisa. And
right.
Lisa's another one with Cara Berry, our friend.
Hey,
Uh,
Kara.
she calls it laryngitis, girl.
Yeah, wait a minute, stop it. I was listening to her podcast today, her latest one today, and when I was literally, what store was I in? I was in Wise grocery store. When she said laryngitis girl, no, I was in Walmart. I almost screamed when she described it. And I was actually going to send her a message like, girl, I am cackling. Can you please describe what Kara calls laryngitis girl?
Laryngitis girl is exactly what Lisa Hochstein sounds like. It's Lisa Hochstein. It's Sam from Summer House. It's Denise Richards came in as laryngitis girl that one episode. You know, like it's that like that like chain smoker like at some point in your life voice. You're like, why do you sound like that? Clear your throat. Get a lozenge.
Yes.
Like, what
Like,
is this?
where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly. So that's
By the way,
Lisa.
if y'all don't know, Kara is the podcast, which I'm sure you guys do know. But if not, everyone's business but mine. You need to check it out.
Yes.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
laryngitis girl, that was good.
Laryngitis girl. But what do you think about Larsa and Gertie? Are you team Larsa?
Is like, I go to a place that I know is not a 5-star restaurant. It's not a Ruth Chris, but their pictures present like, oh, you probably get a decent steak here and you'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then even though you asked for it medium, or maybe even medium well, when they bring it out, you try to cut it and you can't, and it tastes like the bottom of somebody's shoe. That is what Larsa is to me. The way I want to fast forward her, but what really frustrates me about her is there are points when she actually has a point. There are points when she's lucid insane to me.
Yes.
And it makes me upset that I can't even enjoy those moments because I have such you taste like the bottom of somebody's shoe. I cannot even get past that.
Have you noticed? Started to notice Larsa's voice. So Larsa has
Yes,
two voices.
two.
Larsa has, hi Marcus. Listen to our new podcast with Larsa and Marcus. Like she does that voice where her lips can't touch each other because they're too big. Yes. And then she has a different voice, which she had when the car broke down in the middle of the road. She was like, these cars are trash. We need to get out of this car. We're like, Larsa, what voice is that?
Who is that?
Who's that? Like, that is the Larsa that I want to see. Like Larsa, when she's talking about her relationship with Lisa and like how Lisa needs to get her shit together with Lenny and all that. Like that is the Larsa we need to be seeing. But when Larsa does the whole like, I know, like shut, like what is that voice? I don't like it.
And when she can't listen to her friend, Gertie is saying, all I want you to do is say to my face, I'm sorry. Gertie didn't even want the extras, but Larsa's thing is, no, like when she brought up this, it's like, what'd she say? Not elementary school, sort of like daycare.
Yeah.
And she said, no, in daycare, they just, or whatever, they just tell you to say you're sorry. But I want to explain, sometimes that is not needed. Your friend is telling you, this is what I need from you. And in my mind, I'm thinking, that is so easy, but she cannot accept, because then it would make her, it almost like she'd be laying down her pride.
Yeah.
You are willing to waste precious breath on whether or not I owe you an explanation. She's not asking you for an, and actually, that's the part where I was like, oh, that's easy. I'm sorry. Because she told you, I know you didn't mean it maliciously.
Yeah.
I wanted to snatch that non-blended bun out and just be like, shut up. There's something about her. To me, I do believe that she lies. There's something like, we don't have concrete proof. Well, actually we do. She said every night of her marriage, she had sex. That means you had sex the night you gave birth. That means you had sex the night after you gave, because you didn't give that disclaimer. You said every night. So we know that you're lying about that.
Yeah.
I do feel like she lies. The whole thing with Nicole, when they were showing those flashbacks, it's like she throws things out there and she calls Lisa her best friend. Instead of you approaching Lisa first to find out about the whole crackhead comment about crackheads living in her building, you immediately put her business out there.
Yeah.
And
Larsa also is an emotionally stunted person.
Yes.
Not that I have any like sympathy for her, but she's an emotionally stunted person because she started dating Scotty, I think, when she was 19.
Yes. And how old was he? Like in his 30s, right? Okay.
Oh, I don't know about that, but There's an age difference for
Yeah.
sure. I'm going to say he was probably in his late 20s.
You
Is
think,
he 10
okay.
years older than her?
I'm about to
How
Google and
yeah,
see.
give us a Google. How old is Scottie Pippen? Because Larsa is 49.
Let me see. How old is Scottie Pippen? Siri have made me lazy. Even though I believe she's racist because she always twists my words and I'm like, she knows I'm black.
Oh, I don't use Siri. I haven't used it ever because she doesn't know. She doesn't understand my accent.
Don't make I'm sorry.
How old is Scottie?
58.
Okay, so 10 years older than her,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Like
Okay.
9 or 10 years old. So he's
Okay.
in his late 20s. But I think that when you get into a relationship like that, and that's your one relationship that you've been in for your whole life, your whole existence, like I think that people get really emotionally stunted when they
Yeah.
enter a relationship that doesn't allow them to like grow a certain way. And so
Yeah.
I think Larsa is still like, even this like baby girl voice that she does,
That's
like I think
true.
that she's just like, she's so emotionally stunted. She doesn't know how to function like a normal human being. And it
Yeah.
makes me concerned about her children
I was good. Yeah.
because we've seen her like shopping with her daughter,
Yes.
and it's very like she very much gives this feeling of like me and my daughter are peers, and
We're
it's like
besties.
no,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, you're not peers, that's your daughter. Like you are an adult, you're the elder in this situation, especially when they're like teens,
It makes
but
me wonder. I'm sorry,
yeah.
with her son too. Remember one time she called and they were on the phone and he was like, didn't want to talk to her. It was like, I don't know if it was the first season or the second season. He was very upset about something. And she was like, why are you talking to me like that? And he was I can't remember, but it was very much, I remember thinking, oh, wow. I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off. But
No, no, I like, and then I think about the fact that she's in this relationship with this guy who's 15 years younger than her. And it's like, yeah, all of that makes sense because Larsa is emotionally stunted. Larsa
Mm,
is not she's not in reality
yeah.
ever. And that's also what makes her so entertaining to watch.
When she said one of the times she made sense, they were talking about the $10,000 a month Instacart. And she was like, no, I have 4 kids and spend $500 a week. I was like, that's like those type.
That's what
Yeah.
I want. Yeah,
That's what I want to
exactly.
see. Like,
Yeah,
okay.
oh, Larsa Pippen is aware of groceries. Like baby girl voice Larsa Pippen would be like, I don't know how much groceries
I don't
cost. I
know.
just have an assistant who does it while I take pictures of my feet for OnlyFans. But like reality mother of four, Larsa Pippen is like, I know groceries don't cost that much money. Like, and I want that Larsa Pippen.
Yeah.
I want that girl. Like, I want her because she needs to stop pretending like everything is, hunky dory and like she lives in, a castle in the sky and everything is great. Like, I want that Larsa because
Yeah.
everybody else is being pretty real on the
I feel
show.
like, yeah.
And I think that they're aware that Larsa isn't real sometimes.
Oh, no. Say that again. You froze from it. You said you
Oh,
think that they're aware.
I think they're aware that that's not the like Larsa is presenting herself as differently than she actually is in real life. And I think they're trying to get more of that Larsa out.
Yes. I think that's why when Gertie was asked the question, who's the fakest?
Yeah.
He said, because
Hello.
you got something girl, into your behind. You may not have had a BBL, but you did not get a U-shaped booty by doing squats. Like
Is
you
it a
did.
U-shaped booty? It's more of like a square.
You know what? Yeah, that's true.
It's
When she
it's
was running in them basketball shorts, I said, now, girl, you're not going to get me to believe that that is real compared to what you had before doing.
no.
Like, so I get when and the voice, they
Yeah.
probably heard the real voice. So now all of a sudden, and I think my other issue with Larsa was you left the show because he didn't like the drama or whatever, or you were maybe above it. But then you come back acting as if you're like, to me, above them. And it's like, nah, you hadn't even stayed in contact with any of them.
Yeah.
I don't believe that Marisol and even Alexia were as close off the show. I believe that they still stayed in touch. I don't think they were BFFs because in the beginning, it was either the first or second season they came back. It was basically like said, it was like alluded to.
Yeah.
But you don't get to come back. You ain't talked to none of us. And then you think you're going to come back in here. Like, nah, you don't get, like you were
Yeah.
a part of the original for one season.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
I'm enjoying Miami. I love the cinematography of Miami. I love,
Stunning.
and I love the ladies together. Marisol on her apology tour was really funny to me. And then the way they flipped out on her, and even Alexia was like, yeah, so Julia's right.
That's what I'm saying. What is going on with Alexia? Like, how broke are they? Like, what's going on that Alexia's being so nice? I don't understand it, but I do love it. Like, I love a switch. I love a switch like that.
And I do believe Giselle could take a note. That is how the nasty stuff that they've all said about each other on Miami is as comparable, almost,
Oh,
as
totally.
Potomac. And look how they're all concerned with the success of this show.
Mhm.
People are now aware that it's best to have conflict, resolve it, move on to a new conflict, have some fun in it as well.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson that I think that Giselle is missing from Potomac. But because I immediately thought about that when I watched that, like we're literally, and then we watch her do these apologies, and Julia's like, by the way, you're the reason we can't move forward. And they were all on one accord with that.
Yeah. And they all were on the same page. And that I think is the other difference, right? Like Robin and Ash will be like, no, I don't think that's what's going on. And you're like, no, that is what's going on. That is what's going on, you know? Like we all need to be in a better place for Potomac. I mean, look, I still think Potomac is great. I don't give a shit that Giselle and Candace aren't talking to each other. Let them not talk to each other. I don't care. Fine by me.
It's going to be interesting to see if they all come back next season, or if they all come back, how NECA will change, because I think it's always interesting how a first season housewife reads these comments and comes back totally different.
Also, every season of first season housewife is friends with Giselle and Robin, and then she gets fucked over and then she's friends with somebody else. That's what happens every single season.
Every season, unless you decide to become a minion like Ashley.
Exactly.
Noor, this conversation has made me, again, I've said it before, like when you go out to dinner and you have a good steak, a good meal, not like the bottom of someone's shoe, but like an actual good steak. And then you have a couple of margaritas and you feel warm. You don't feel full or inebriated. You just feel warm and just satiated. That's what this conversation has done for me.
Oh my God. That's so nice of you. I'm going to say thank you instead of putting myself down.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody, if they don't know, where they can find you.
You can find me at The Reality Is Pod everywhere where social media is. And then also you can follow me everywhere, subscribe and leave a review, blah, 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 all that stuff. Anywhere podcasts are heard. And I don't have a lot going on, but I am really enjoying, I do once a week episodes with my brother to talk about pop culture and sports and news and all that stuff. So you should definitely check that out. If Bravo is too much for you sometimes, go check that out. And then also over the week of Christmas, we're going to do some scripted stuff. So we're going to recap May, December. We're going to talk about The Crown.
Oh.
We are also going to talk about one of mine and my brother's favorite wintertime movies, which is While You Were Sleeping.
Okay, so I didn't know wait, While You Were Sleeping. I think I've heard that. Where the guy, like
Sandra Bullock.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. See, you're doing what I've been, there's some scripted things that I've been watching that I've really been wanting to talk about, but it's like, so, that's a good idea. Y'all make sure y'all check Noor out. This is Noor and Taria signing off. We love y'all, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye.